Previously on Woodbrew.
So it seems like with every client job we have, we end up getting some form of a time crunch, and this is no different. So last night I spent most of the night finally sanding the primer and applying our first top coat. And today I'm getting ready to apply the second coat to the front of the bed and the first coat to the rest of the cabinetries and stuff. Actually, Molly spent this morning getting everything sanded up and prepped for paint on these cabinets. But I wanted to quickly show you what we're using for top coat, because this is the first time we've ever used this. This is Benjamin Moore Advanced, which is a waterborne alkyd sort of hybrid paint, which essentially means that you get the benefits of a water-based finish while getting also the benefits of the durability of an oil-based finish. And we've used a lot of alkyd paints in the past, but we've never used this advanced product. And I've seen a lot of good things online about it, so I wanted to give it a shot. So this is going on really well. I want to give you guys a few tips. So I'm using a 3/8 inch nap roller, and that is how smooth or coarse the roller is. You know, how fuzzy or not fuzzy it is, how fuzzy or smooth it is. And one of the things that people often do, that's a big mistake, is they don't keep their roller really wet. And so they're like, oh, there's just one more little spot right there. I could get it if I just like press down and squeeze my roller. You know, we've all done it. But what happens is you compress that nap and you actually make the roller not work nearly as well. So if you just really take your time, and this is really how slow I'm going. I'm being very methodical with it. It's not like painting a wall. We're trying to get a really nice even finish. So I'm putting a decent amount of paint on, and I'm also keeping it very wet, and I'm trying to do an area and move on, not go back. I know it's really tempting to see a little spot and go back for it, but the reason why you don't want to, let me get this little spot here. The reason you don't want to is you can see that this has got stippling in it from the roller. You can actually see the areas where the roller has gone through. But if you look over here, it's already smoothing out. So if you go back and hit the area again, you will put that stippling back in it, and then the product has to try to do all that work again to remove that stippling and make an even coat. So you really just want to put it on nice and heavy and let it do its own thing. My last tip I'll give you is, if possible, when you're doing especially cabinets like this, spraying, rolling or brushing, it's best if you can have the surface flat and not vertical like these are. So, you know, we've got the main front section of the cabinet laid flat for that reason. That is the largest surface area you are going to see. And when you spray things or brush them or whatever flat, then you're going to have far less drips. You can put on more product in one coat, and it will self-level even better. So if you can, say if you're painting your cabinets, remove the doors, put them flat, and then paint them, and then install them. You'll get the best result. Yesterday I finished up the first coat on everything, And Molly this morning came in and sanded with 320 grit sandpaper to just lightly smooth everything out. And now I'm applying, hopefully, the second and final coat. But just coming out here this morning and looking at how this paint laid down even on the very first coat, I do have to say I'm pretty impressed. Even though I would prefer a much shorter dry time where I can recoat quicker, it does help it out quite a bit. You really can roll this stuff on and or brush it on and get just as good a results, I think, as spraying. So.
But how much do you love painting?
But I'm quickly losing my my painting patience and drive. I pride myself on being able to be very patient with finicky, detail-oriented tasks. I'm very good at that. But I'm quickly just like, any chance I get, you know? But yeah, it's coming out really good. I'm very happy with the way the finish is turning out, so that's good. It's a real pain in the butt when you get to the end of a project and the finish isn't going well, so at least, even though it's taken a long time, much longer than I expected, it is, the result is looking pretty darn good. Well guys, it is the night before we install this Murphy bed. I ended up doing a couple more coats on the bed section back there. We got it turned over and I did the inside. I also, this morning, put some coats of varnish on this interior panel. That's what the actual bed sits on. But I just need to set these in place, get them screwed down, and put the door pulls on. That's really it. All the main components, all the stuff that's really important has had more than enough time to cure, which is good. And lastly, what else do I have for you? I've been working on a couple client gifts. So I've got these two little trays, which are really nice to give as gifts because this little one works good as a like ring tray, and the other one works good as like a jewelry or wallet sort of tray. And then lastly, I made this custom charcuterie board here. It even has this nice little bow tie in it, and I did that today actually while some of the other stuff was going on. And I just think it's really important to say thank you in a meaningful way, you know, in a meaningful way to clients, especially when they put in a large order like something like this. You know, they're spending thousands of dollars. I just want to say thank you to our clients because obviously they help us do what we love. I just think it's a super important step in running a custom furniture business. I just think it really sets you apart from a lot of people. I think a lot of people just had really bad experiences with handyman and carpenters, just completely abandoning them after a project is complete. You know, if they have any sort of little issue, it's, you know, not worth that person's time to come fix it. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. But a lot of people deal with it, and it's a big concern that a lot of clients have voiced to me over the years that of dealing with other people. So, you know, any way that you can help, you know, alleviate that pressure and give them a better feeling about you in general, the better. So yeah, just a little bit of business tidbits in there. Comment down below if you'd like more tidbits from the business side of things, because I enjoy talking about it. I don't talk about it as much on here because I'm mostly just talking about building stuff. But obviously it's very crucial that I don't mess this up, so I made myself a template. This template is just a simple piece of MDF with a center line in both directions, and then I marked out my holes for the drawer pulls. I made sure that they worked on this template, so everything should be good as long as I line this thing up correctly. So lining up the center is pretty easy. I'm gonna line it up like this, and then we're gonna line it up with the center of this style here, or rail, sorry, this rail. Obviously this is one of those triple check sort of measurements here. All right, I'm calling that good. For sanity's sake, it's gonna go there, centered, looks good to me. And then again, another sanity check before we get too terribly far with this. Now the point of no return.
I held the handles in place while Dylan went under the bed and made sure that the screws were long enough. One thing we had to do was make holes in the 1/4 inch plywood just a little bit bigger than the head of the screws. That way we can attach those handles on later without having to take that plywood back off. When you are shopping around for the best workwear, look no further. We have been wearing Ariat for years now, and we gotta say it's our favorite clothing to wear, whether it's 30 degrees out, 90 degrees in the shop, or on the property. Ariat has everything to cover you head to toe, with hats and beanies to socks and footwear, and everything in between. Like this half zip super lightweight shirt, and these rebar utility leggings. Check out all the workwear for men and women on Ariat.com, or there'll be links to our favorites in the description. Thank you, Ariat, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to building.
Oh, I'm so tired. It's the morning of the install, and we've put together this nice little gift basket sort of thing for our client. So we have this nice charcuterie board we made yesterday with this little bow tie. It says Woodbrew, thank you for supporting our small business, which is a theme you'll see throughout this. Then we just have a little bit of Woodbrew merch. And then this is a really cool way to, make yourself stand out a little bit. This is touch-up paint. So this is the exact paint that we use. We put it in this tiny little mason jar, and then we print a label on it that gives you the exact brand, type of paint, and color code and everything. So they just need to do a little touch up. They're able to do it themselves. So that's a cool thing to have. And then a folder comes with our products. Nice little folder, and inside the folder we have a simple thank you card. We have a way that the customer can support our business. Oftentimes people, want to know ways they can support you, but either they just forget about it, or you don't give them a way to do it necessarily, and they don't know how to go about it. So giving them some easy things laid out that they can do will help grow your business. And then lastly, it's a Woodbrew care and maintenance guide. So this is just all the details about the specific thing that we are giving the customer. So in this instance with the Murphy bed, it's the best things to do with it. It also talks about the importance of being gentle with the piece for the first 7 to 14 days while the finish and everything gets, to its full hardness and cured. All the things that you would need to know as the owner of a Murphy bed. Guys, we're ready to install the Murphy bed. We're here in the client's guest bedroom, and we have this wall in between these two windows where the main cabinet is going. And looking at this wall, just looking at it, the only thing you really see in between the windows is this one telephone, actually I think it's Ethernet port down here. So really the only thing you would assume is in this wall is a single, some sort of low voltage line for the telephone wire. However, when we did our walkthrough of this place, I went to the outside of the house and I also looked in the attic, and I discovered that there actually is a gas inlet here, somewhere about right here, and a water spigot on the outside of the wall. The gas line comes in the bottom, goes into the attic, and the water line comes from the attic and goes down to about here. So it's important to take those things into consideration when you're installing something, to look in the attic, to look from the outside to see if there is a water spigot on the exterior wall, because any sort of exterior wall has a chance of having some sort of utility in there. And obviously those two things are things we don't want to hit. So the first thing we're going to do is lay out where those items are. We did that by measuring on the outside from the window over to where they enter, and then we're going to measure over, and they should be in between two studs. So we ought to know roughly where they're at. We'll verify them with the stud finder, and then we'll lay out where they are so that we can avoid hitting them. We're using this delicate surface painter's tape on everything to make all of our marks so we do the least amount of long-term damage to this wall in case this cabinet is ever pulled off. However, one thing that we are doing, which is a little bit of damage, is we're taking a tiny little drill bit and we are drilling in where the edge of our stud should be, and we're finding the exact edge. And sometimes I can take a couple of these tiny little holes, but they're so small that a little bit of putty would fix these later down the road. but it's extremely important to find the true edge of your stud and not just rely on the stud finder or just rely on, you know, measuring over between each one once you find one, because what we're attaching to the wall is not just a small picture frame. It needs to hold firm against the wall. We need it to be in the center of a stud. So by using this tiny little drill bit, we're able to find the edge of that stud easily. Okay, both of those studs are perfect. Thank you, builder. This is the reason why I do this though, because those two studs were perfect and this center of the stud was off by 1/2 inch, which means that if I just marked over, I'd only have 1/8 inch of material left on the left-hand side of my lag when it's all said and done. Would have been a very weak joint, so it's important to find the true edge of that stud. Using this super long pre-drill bit. Got my line marked up here, and then I'm putting in these, I think these are 4 or 5 inch long structural lags. These are way overkill, but they work really well for applications like this and are easy to install. So yeah, we're gonna have I think 4 of them across here, which is more than enough. That's enough to probably hold a deck.
Something always goes wrong.
Somebody didn't read the instructions properly, and well, let's just say you can't put the brackets on with the sides on, so you kind of have to put this thing together all at once. Yeah, not ideal, but you know what? Everything's going to be fine. It's going to take these panels off. It's going to require using some filler and coming back probably to do some more touch-up paint. Is what it is. Should have been more diligent with my plan reading, but
Read the instructions, eh?
I mean, something has to happen on every single job, you know?
The problem was we couldn't put on the bed mounts with the bed already in the cabinet, nor would the bed even go on at the cabinet with the mounts on. It was an ordeal, but not as scary as we thought it was going to be. Also, the bed wouldn't close all the way, most likely due to the floor being a little unlevel, so we had to move the top shelf up a bit. That meant drilling out the screws and having to repatch them. The next morning we came back to sand that filler down and do all the touch-up paint. Last but not least, adding on the mattress, and this Murphy bed is complete. We had such a good time at building this project, especially because one of our first YouTube videos was building a Murphy bed, so there was a little bit of nostalgia. Dylan did an amazing job designing the front panels, and we hope you guys enjoyed this series. See ya in the next one.